I took the Blues at plus 1.5. I thought that was the way to go. Turns out I was wrong. 2 empty netters and that dream here for me. But other than that, this was a very interesting game. There's a lot of points to talk about on here. There's a lot of interesting things that happen in this series. We're going to go ahead and talk about the Girard injury. I think we have an update here coming in from Elliot Friedman. Tough to validate, but I'll let you know what I know right now. This is quite the back and forth battle. The Blues started off like a house on fire. There's a jumping catch at the blue line. Is it onside? Is it offside? Goalie, good, bad, who knows? Binngington hurt. Kadri purposefully incidentally purposely injures Binngington. Lots of things to talk about it, so let's go after it. Let's talk about it. And don't forget, we're also sponsored by BetUS. If you want to head over to BetUS, you can be like Coach Ryan D. If you're over the age of majority in Canada or the US, you can bet on the Blues, you can bet on the Avs, you can bet on any of your teams. I've been involved in the action recreationally as the playoffs have gone on, done better than I have worse, and we'll give you 125% free play deposit bonus. So these apps are everywhere, but it's always fun to log on to a new one for the first time. It's like Coach Ryan D. just gave you free money. You're welcome. Let's go ahead and start with the Samual Girard hit and injury. My goodness, that was an ugly hit, wasn't it? Barbashev ends up riding Girard into the boards here. And you can see, I mean, look, in real time from certain angles, this seemed like it was going a billion miles an hour. As soon as you pan out on this, though, I mean, Barbashev isn't really doing anything that I would consider super dangerous here. Girard is in what we call the danger zone, though. Anytime you're 1 to 2 feet away from the boards, we coach kids this all the time in hockey from age 12 onwards when body contact starts. You never want to be a foot or two away from the boards. This is always very dangerous. I know he's picking up a puck. I'm going to talk about why Girard thinks this is actually a safe place to be right now in terms of the pathway he took, but you can see the distance between his feet and the boards just don't lend him to being in a good place, and Barbashev is a big character. So you've all probably seen the hit. Bang, there it is. That's playoff hockey, and unfortunately we do have a bit of an injury update here on Girard. My buddy Mick, who is one of our channel members down below, if you want to join, you can go ahead, get in on it. We're chatting on Discord all the time. We're back and forth with channel members, non-channel members. We're very interactive here, but Mick has the scoop. He is reporting that Elliot Friedman is saying it is a broken sternum. Oh my freaking Lord. Yike. Broken sternum. For those of you who don't know, that's the bone right here. Just go ahead, push your heart. You'll feel that bone. Breaking one of those is probably one of the most painful things I can think of right now. That is just harsh. We can't confirm it. I went searching on the internet to see if I could find the report for it. I couldn't. We know he was taken to a hospital immediately after the game. He's bleeding from the nose after his mouth got just, it was an ugly hit, but this is what hockey is. And when you're playing hockey, it's a lot like riding a motorcycle. At the end of the day, you have to protect yourself. You can't assume the refs are going to protect yourself. You can't assume the equipment will. Can't assume your teammates will. People can react for you after. Referees can call penalties after hits. This one wasn't a call. I think this hit was clean, but we'll talk about what it could have been as well, because there's a lot to dissect in this before we get into the game. At the end of the day, though, you got to put yourself into a good position. That's why I'm talking about the fact that he was 2 feet away from the boards there. That is not where you want to be. That's the danger zone in hockey. Being close to the boards is worse than anything when it comes to being in open ice, because you get hit once, then you get hit twice by the boards. That's just how physics and force work. So this was a monster hit. This probably changed the game. I wonder if this will change the series. That's tough to see. Hope Girard's okay, but that is playoff hockey, and that is hockey in a nutshell. People get really upset when they see things like this, and they should when guys get injured, but when guys get up, people love it. This is the risk these players take playing this game. After that hit, though, Josh Manson watches his player get pancaked against the boards, and of course a player wants to step in. Unfortunately, Manson has the puck on his stick at that point in time, so you can see he wants to turn around, he wants to retaliate, but it's tough to retaliate when you have the puck. You can't just leave it there. So Manson ends up moving the puck, and it remains in the zone, and then what you end up seeing is Manson going to the front of the net and wholesaling a whole bunch of people, and makes a big hit near the point, makes a couple massive hits in front of the net, trying to get some redemption for his partner there. And then he ends up going to the box because he takes a penalty for it. But no big deal when he goes to that box, because when he comes out, he makes a beautiful leaping grab at the blue line that ends up being onside, and then they end up scoring. So really good heart and soul play by his partner Manson there. Really, really well done. And then after that chain of events, Nazem Kadri ends up running into Jordan Binngington, and Jordan Binngington has been the difference maker in this series. Ville Husso has been the better goalie all season long. He's had magic in the regular season. In our playoff prediction, we said Husso is going to be the starting guy. Husso's fallen on his face in the playoffs. There's no better way to say it. He just hasn't been very good, but Binngington has been in pure God mode, baby. That guy has been unbelievable. Kadri ends up going into the net, and they call it accidentally on purpose. And that's how I feel about this too. I mean, it's Kadri. I don't give him the benefit of the doubt, so I'm not knocking the Avs. Maybe fell in, maybe didn't. It's always a coincidence when a guy like Kadri is in a place like that, and it ends up costing Binngington the game. So Binngington looks okay. The trainer, the goalie coach, they come out, he goes through his movements, and what makes me really nervous that Binngington might not be back for the rest of the series, his knee gives out going through his drills, and you could see him use a choice amount of words going back to the bench. He knew he was in trouble, and players, you just know when your knee slips. I think something is buggered there in his leg. He knows it. It's not bad enough that he is in screaming amounts of pain. I'm sure it's bad. I mean, he's a very tough Canadian kid, as we called him last time. That is Jordan Binngington for you, but he knew he couldn't go. He knew his knee buckled or something in his leg buckled when he was going through his warmies. And when that happens, don't expect a likely quick return. So we'll have to wait and see. We never know when it comes to the NHL. I cannot confirm that it was a broken sternum for Girard, but I think we got some pretty good info. And I can't confirm it's a knee for Binngington. We may never know. We'll have to wait and see. But those are the main attributes that I think end up swinging this game and could totally change the series. Because if you're down a starting goalie or you're down a top defenseman on the other side, that can definitely change the pace of the game. As well, go ahead, give Coach Ryan D a big thumbs up for these videos. We've been getting a lot of traction and success from Avs and Blues fans. Blues fans, you've been with us since the start of the playoffs. We really appreciate you being here, rocking with us. It's awesome having you. Avs fans, again, welcome back to Game 3. We didn't cover your bye against Nashville, so maybe you're a little bit newer. Go ahead, hit subscribe. We've been growing like gangbusters. Thanks so much. We've put on 2,500 subscribers. That's a lot of poundage to put on for this channel. So we'll keep making great videos. If you keep watching, keep showing up. Also, we have an awesome Discord. You want to talk to me during the games? I'm active during most games. So are 200 other amazing people. It's free. Join down below. We can talk hockey. You can talk hockey. You can make a couple new friends in there as well. If you want to go ahead and join the coaches staff like Mick, you can go ahead and sign up down below by hitting the join button. We've got a few amazing members here, a couple different ways you can help support the channel, or you can also think about giving us a super thanks as well for the hard work we're putting in. However, the free thumbs up, the comments down below, just watching this video, that all goes far enough. So the free support, we can't ask for more from all you amazing HGS fans and new people, first-time watchers on this channel. All right, here's the Binngington play in question. Kadri ends up going into Binngington there. Now, look, if you're on the side and you want to defend Kadri, I can't argue that. I mean, nobody really knows except for Kadri at this point. But that's a little bit of a nasty collision. I'm going to end up siding on the fact that I think Kadri ended up causing that one. That's just me. I mean, if we go back here, let's go ahead. Let's find it again. Kadri ends up going in after a loose puck. I mean, there is a puck there. He is going to play it, but I don't think there's much of a slow up. I don't see a player really pushing him into that. Kadri's kind of known for this. So whichever way you side on it, you let me know down below in the comments. That's unfortunate for Binngington. That's unfortunate for Blues fans. You can see right here what I'm talking about with the knee injury. Binngington's trying to test out that knee right now. It's his left knee. He puts it up and he just, nope, done. He immediately puts it down, shakes his head. You can see him. He goes into pain there. So something on his left knee is absolutely no good. That's going to be a tough one for the St. Louis Blues. That's going to be a tough one for Blues fans. That could completely turn the series. I can see a lot of bitter and angry Blues fans coming from this. I don't blame him. It's a guy with a reputation. It's a guy who's been suspended a billion times. It is a guy who ends up going into your starting goalie. It's going to cause a whole host of emotions across from it. But as Rod Brindamore said for the Carolina Hurricanes when Frederik Andersen ended up going out, what are we going to do? Cry about it? We got to find a way to win, and we got to find a way through it. And they found a way with Antti Ranta and good team defense at that point. The St. Louis Blues are going to have to do the same thing in front of Ville Husso. They've been a better team all year in front of Ville Husso. So Binngington was hot at the moment, but the Blues have proven time and time again that they can make this happen with that goalie in front. It is going to be up to Craig Berube. It's going to be up to Ryan O'Reilly, the rest of the St. Louis Blues, as well as Ville Husso to find a way to get it together and win this series in spite of Binngington being out. The last thing that was interesting about this game when I take a look at it is the fact that there were only 10 penalty minutes. It's very strange to me when you see a massive monster hit like that at the beginning of the game that costs one of your top defensemen out. When you see a goalie injured, there were no fights, there were no glove drops. There were just guys playing hockey. Oh, how the game has changed. That would have turned into a carnival back in my day, as they would say, which I believe is a Tuesday if you're counting. But back in the 90s, early 2000s, that would have been a bloodbath on either side for either incident. But regardless, after, both teams just suited up and played hockey. I guess they realized they had something more important on the line. And even though the game was 5-2, the game was basically within a goal the entire way through this contest up until the third. It was very well contested. The shot counts were identical. Nobody was giving an inch in this one. However, the Colorado Avalanche were able to sneak a few by Ville Husso there, and the firepower of the Avs ends up beating the firepower of the Blues. The fact that it's 2-1 right now, this game in St. Louis, hey, if you were in that building right now, St. Louis fans, tell me, did the air come out of the building when Binngington left? What was the building like after the Girard hit? I'm always curious as to how the building is sounding and what fans are saying who are actually there. The Colton Parayko goal was actually just a really good shot, so the Blues end up winning this one back clean. You can see MacKinnon's a right-handed shot. Don't forget about that. We're going to talk about that as we end up going forward. But he ends up playing as a right-handed shot on a left-hand draw. That puck wins clearly back to Parayko, who finds a puck that has eyes that ends up beating Kuemper. I thought the two Kuemper goals that went in weren't great, but I actually think he settled into his game perfectly today. This was a much better game than what he had last time. So even though there was two shaky starts, the back half for Kuemper was classic Darcy Kuemper. And if you're going to get a Kuemper that's settled into the net and can play hockey the way Kuemper can play hockey, it's going to be very hard to beat the Colorado Avalanche. What you'll notice here when we talk about face-off theories, you have one defenseman and two defensemen. Their jobs are here to tie up these wingers on a lost draw. The other jobs are for the wingers to actually get out to the point and block the shots. The thing about this, and we've done a lot of face-off theory here, is both teams execute perfectly. The offense for St. Louis executes perfectly on a one draw, and the defense for Colorado here executes perfectly. Everybody got out there to block shots. Everyone has their man. Their assignment is covered. There's no big deal. But unfortunately, that puck finds eyes. It ends up beating Kuemper. I think Kuemper could have had this one, but it's also just a great shot from the point. It's tricky for goalies off a draw, to be honest. It's a very easy way to score on goalies if you can get a quick shot off a draw. So it ends up having eyes. It beats Kuemper over the left shoulder. You're not going to really beat up a goalie too much for this, and I'm not sure what else Colorado could have done. Nathan MacKinnon had an idea of it, though. After he gets off the ice, you can see him giving it to Jared Bednard there. Like, you know, it's interesting when you're looking at games with teams with men and millionaires and the fact that this happens. I mean, some coaches, you'd never get away with that. Other coaches, maybe you would. But when it's Nathan MacKinnon, you're probably going to get away with it. He lets Bednar know something. We don't know what it is. I couldn't read his lips at this point. I'm not sure if he's mad at the line combinations. I'm not sure if he's mad at what's going on there. I'm not sure if he was just mad and he wasn't yelling at Bednar at all. Maybe he was yelling at something else. But the theory to take away from it is there's a possibility that MacKinnon was upset that he is a right-handed draw man and he needed somebody out there to take the draw on the left side. You're stronger when you have the puck on your backhand, so maybe MacKinnon preferred having somebody else out there taking the draw because it was over there on the left side. We'll never know, but it's never a good sign when a captain, an assistant, and your best player ends up yelling at a coach like that. That does not show a lot of confidence in certain things, but it could also just be a one-off. So as the Blues are up 1-0, this is Josh Manson leaving the box. So you can see here, he's onside for now, and then he ends up offside, catching the puck over on here. But that is called onside. And you know what? Let's be honest. The referee is right here. He's right on the line. He's the best guy in the building to make that call. He's the best guy in the building, knowledge-wise, to make that call. The St. Louis Blues don't challenge. And I think at the end of the day, what are you going to challenge? You're going to go to the box if you get it wrong. Very hard to find conclusive evidence on this one. They showed the replay a billion different ways. So regardless of how you feel about it, the referee thinks it's onside. Berube doesn't want to go ahead and challenge it, and we end up moving on, and it gets called a good goal. So great job by Colorado here. Just a beast mode shift. by Josh Manson. Just before his penalty, then coming out of the box, stepping up for his teammate in the exact right way. What you'll see here is the Blues end up waving at sticks. Nobody ends up doing what we call the stick lift. So you saw the sticks come down from top to bottom. They stick press. You got to be stick lifting, boys. Lifting is the key. It's always the key. When you do the stick press down, doesn't work quite as well. Manson ends up getting that puck out, and because that stick isn't tied out soon enough, that puck ends up squirting out and just shelves it here on Ville Husso. That's a tough one. St. Louis penalty kill here does a great job getting out of trouble, but unfortunately, the puck ends up going from high to low, and you end up losing a stick here as well, too. I like the fact that they went and picked it up. You should always pick up your stick. Don't play stickless. It's useless. You break a stick, get to the bench, play short until you can get the stick. Playing without a stick is dumb. So they go ahead, they pick up the stick, except you just saw it there. What are you doing? Like, seriously, why would you do this to your own player? You got to have a little bit of self-awareness here. You can't just keep skating. Like, you got to know your player's without a stick. Your defenseman needs a stick. You really need to think this one through. This is just a boneheaded play here. Steps on the stick. Drags it with him. Talk about being unaware. And because of that, what ends up happening? Two players get tied together. Another player is in front of the net without a stick. Another player is going to dive. The last player is coming in off the bench or off the box. Sorry, here he is. And it's just a quagmire of events because you're not aware of your surroundings. You guys got to talk out there, boys. Chirp, chat a little. That puck ends up going in. Beautiful redirection there by Kadri, taking advantage of the quagmire and the things that are going on. And I mean, this really just says it all to me here. Just wah-wah. Tough one for the Blues. That ends up changing the game altogether, thanks to an errant stick and poor communication amongst teammates. You don't score on one end of the ice, you are 100% likely to get scored on at the other end of the ice. So a great scoring chance here by the Blues. Beautiful, beautiful save here by Darcy Kuemper. He ends up dialing it in. It goes over the net. You're down and out. And why is it 100% chance to score? Because scoring on the rush is the way to do it. You always end up leaving with speed. So you have everybody clustered down below. This happens in the NHL super commonly. You've heard me talk about it on this channel for times. It's faceoffs, it's power play, it's on the rush. That's how you score goals in the NHL. So when you don't score goals at one end of the ice and it creates a rush going the other way, it basically feels like 100% of the time it ends up going in your net. It's not that, but it is a ridiculously high percent. It has to be somewhere close 30, totally making up those numbers, but we have broken down every goal in the playoffs right now, and that is definitely the most popular goal that I have seen in the playoffs this year. It's the most popular way to score I've seen in hockey in 35 years. It just seems to be what happens. You can't score on one end, it ends up in the back of your net. You can see here the Avs end up putting a beautiful wall banker off the wall. This is practiced all the time, so guys train to hit these areas of the wall, the glass, or the little rail right here to make sure you get the proper and correct bounce. The puck is going to bounce differently off the boards than it is off the ice, than it is off the rail, than it is off the glass, and players practice an exorbitant amount of time in drills with coaches hitting these different areas and springing out breakouts like this. They want to get feels for it. They want to know the speed change for this because it is a very likely way to exit zones and get out of there. So when you hear high off the glass, it doesn't actually mean high off the glass. It could mean high off the glass, could mean off the rail, could mean off the boards, could mean use the yellow along the ice. All give you a different bounce, but Colorado is off to the races at this point in time. They are able to catch St. Louis in transition. That transition game leads to a beautiful 2-on-1 here. St. Louis ends up laying down. You've heard me say this a million times before. Wouldn't have changed it. Go ahead, take the passer. That's what you got to do. But this puck ends up beating Husso. You want to turn 2-on-1s into 2-on-2s, and how you do that is the shooter and the goalie have to match up, and you need to take the passer or at least ensure that puck doesn't go over. So the puck doesn't go over. This gives Ville Husso the best chance to make a save. It doesn't mean he's going to be 100%. It doesn't mean it's an easy shot. It just means if the puck doesn't go man to man, it is a better chance for the goalie to make the save than if the pass does end up getting through. So he ends up sniping this one here. Lehkonen does. There's nothing you're going to do about it. That's just a shooter shot. That's a shooter shot with speed. That's not on Husso. That is not on St. Louis. That's on a quagmire of events as well. You've heard that word 4 times tonight because that's what it felt like for St. Louis. St. Louis would come back though. Beautiful zone entry here by St. Louis. What you want to do is you want to end up penetrating the zone on this side. You're going to need another player to drive the mid lane. That's what you want to do. And you want to have a third player trailing late to the top of this circle. That is the way you do zone entry when you're attacking with 3. The last piece of the puzzle is you actually need your defenseman to activate late and take this zone here. So let's go ahead and let's see how this goes, because St. Louis ends up making this 3-2. There's your first stage of zone entry, so one player ends up going to the boards. We do not have a mid-lane drive here at this point. You can see our defenseman coming to pick up the high slot here, and you can see our third player going to the top of the circle. So we've checked 3 out of 4 boxes right now in this zone entry. All we got to look for is someone driving that mid lane. That's the last piece of this puzzle in order to go ahead and make sure we do this properly to get a best chance at a goal. That defenseman ends up activating in. It allows St. Louis to get behind the defenders. Again, what ends up happening though is that you don't push the defenders even further back, which I wish you would. So I don't love the fact that you end up going behind them here, but this one ends up working. Sometimes in the offensive zone, you just got to let the boys play, as they say. And what you end up seeing is a beautiful shot that unfortunately Kuemper can't keep in his glove. So he has an opportunity to save that. I know we all like to forgive goalies, but you can't let a rebound out like that. And that guy from the top of the circle, well, he ends up dragging in, and Ryan O'Reilly has been around for too long. He's too good of a veteran. He's going to end up banging this one home. And that all starts from this zone entry. That's why we want a third player driving the top of the circle. So a lot of young guys who may watch this channel, or people who understand this game, might think that, look, you want a guy dragging into the high slot and you want to have a guy here. You actually do not. That is not how you want to attack a zone these days. So what you want to end up having is you want to have one player over here on the wall. So this is your number 1 guy. Your number 2 guy, you want driving the mid lane and getting right to the front of the net. That's where you want your number 2 guy going. Your number 3 guy, your forward, you want him going to the top of the circle and you want him delaying. Be slow. Don't get there first. You want to be slow, and you want number 4 to be your defenseman picking up the spot here. That leaves you with what we call the attack diamond. It is no longer an attack triangle if you're a 40-year-old dad who's been playing and coaching hockey for some time. The attack triangle is dead. It's all about the diamond. It's all about attacking with 4. Unfortunately, we wouldn't get a ton of action in the third period in terms of goals. We would get 2 empty netters there for Colorado, so they end up taking it 5-2. St. Louis was in this game the entire way. They had a lot of opportunities to win. I like the idea that St. Louis laid a lot of bod today. That's what they got to do against Colorado. The series is definitely going to change with the injury to the goalie and to the defenseman. I just don't know in which direction. If St. Louis wants to win this, Berube and St. Louis are going to have to rally around Husso. Husso is going to have to find the magic he had in the regular season, and St. Louis is going to have to find a way to beat Darcy Kuemper. And I think the best way to beat Darcy Kuemper is you got to start shooting glove side. He's really struggled with his glove in the last 2 games. We saw that rebound off O'Reilly. He could have stopped it there. 2 goals last game that ended up going above or below his glove when he had a piece of it. So Kuemper is weak on the glove side. That's what you have to end up exploiting. And I also like the fact that St. Louis is generating shots in the last 2 games. That's a huge positive here for St. Louis. 37. You guys heard me call St. Louis a pretender coming in here, and that is because their Corsi wasn't good enough. But take a look here. St. Louis, 50% Corsi right now. They're doing their job. That's what you need. You don't want to be scoring at a clip that is unsustainable. You need shots. Shots matter, and St. Louis has done that in the last 2 games. The St. Louis Blues Corsi 4 has been excellent in the last 2 games. They've actually generated 120 chances towards the net. That's much higher than they normally do. The problem is they're playing the Colorado Avalanche, who have generated 187 chances towards their net. Most of that actually ends up coming from game 1, though. If we take game 1 out of it, though, St. Louis is much closer with 79-89, so Colorado is still beating them in Corsi 4. For those of you who don't know what Corsi is, it's just a shot towards the net. It doesn't have to be a shot on net. Could be blocked, could be wide, but this is the simple way of saying you get more pucks towards the net, you have a better chance to score goals. Therefore, you have a better chance to win. So this has been the crux of the Blues this year. There's a lot of guys that end up pointing out to me, Corsi isn't everything. There's more, but at the end of the day, everything reverts back to the average. There's nothing you can do about it. And you want more shots towards the opposing net than you want shots towards your net. So when you don't think it matters, I'm sorry to tell you, but it matters. I have this argument every year. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just the way it goes. You get it or you don't. St. Louis has been significantly better in the last 2 games at generating chances towards the Colorado goalkeeper. They're going to have to do that if they want to go ahead and win this series. For Colorado to win this series, it's very simple. Keep doing what you're doing. I don't think Colorado's doing anything wrong. They had a bit of a bad game last game, but this game and the game before, there's not much you can say. Pucks on net for Colorado. Control. Good Corsi. They have a good power play. Colorado is doing what needs to be done. So this is going to be a battle of a series. It's going to be a war. You guys let me know how you feel down below. But the St. Louis Blues being pretenders, not anymore if they're going to go ahead and generate shots at the net that way. Their 5-on-5 is what's really been troubling. So their 5-on-5 offense has gotten better. Their 5-on-5 defense, still not ideal though. And they're down a goalie. So it's always a bit of a heartbreak because I'd like teams to be able to sort this out fully healthy, fully ready to go. But we all know that doesn't happen in the playoffs. It's never fair. Life isn't fair. Injuries aren't fair. Refs aren't fair. Teams aren't fair. Nazem Kadri, that guy being in the league still is not fair. Sorry, Avs fans. I don't like Kadri. And it's not you, Avs fans. I didn't like him on any team he was ever on. It is what it is. Not a Kadri guy. Thanks for being here, everybody. Catch you in the next one.